Dr. Malik admitted that although he testified under oath in a court proceeding involving a murder trial, that he had actually himself conducted an autopsy, that he was in the state of Mississippi having some car trouble while that autopsy was being performed.
Although Malik is no longer under a gag order by the Saline County Grand Jury, he has decided not to comment on any allegations against him.
Dr. Malik, people say that as state medical examiner you bungled cases and lied.
Sir, I told you before, like our president said, read my lips. I'm not going to comment.
According to an extensive review of court documents and trial testimony, Malik has been overturned in at least 3 medical cases. In total frustration, the families hired Dr. Joseph Burton, a nationally respected forensic pathologist, to perform a new autopsy on Don Henry and Kevin Ives.
The deaths of these 2 boys most probably were not accidental deaths, but that they met their death as a result of injuries inflicted on them by other people or another person.
Don Henry had been stabbed and Kevin was crushed in the face with the butt of a rifle, most likely.
Dr. Malik conducted autopsies on the 2 boys at the state morgue. But to the astonishment of experts who later conducted a second autopsy, Dr. Malik somehow failed to notice clear evidence of beating marks and a stab wound. But Dr. Malik never admitted making a mistake.
Was there a stab? The answer is no, they were not stabbed. Were they dead beforehand? Absolutely no, they were alive.
In addition to the controversy surrounding the deaths, dark rumors about illegal drugs circulate throughout the small community.
We began hearing things about drugs, drop sites and drops from trains. And
after nearly 2 years of botched investigations, blatant lies, false autopsies, and cover-ups, Linda Ives remains committed to uncovering the identity of the killers. She can't help but wonder who is going to all of this trouble to cover up the truth. Would a small town like Mena have so much meaning to drug lords and smugglers that they would risk mutilating and murdering 2 innocent young boys?
With all of the potential places for obscure drug drops in other states, perhaps even in states that are in a closer proximity to U.S. borders, why did Little Mena become so significant to the drug trade?
Russell Welch, an Arkansas State Police officer, begins working on the Criminal Investigation Unit in the early 80s. His first major assignment is to monitor suspicious flight activity at Mena Airport.
There are shops at the airport that do good work on aircraft, and it is small. There's not a tower on it, so it's not monitored, so it's an ideal spot for a smuggler to be able to find at nighttime without having to worry about being recorded every time they come in and leave. It seems to be a nice centrally located field without a lot of monitoring, without a lot of law enforcement to bother them.
During the 80s, the most notorious drug smuggler in America was Barry Seal. Seal began his career as TWA's youngest pilot. His resourcefulness and talent soon earned him a place with the U.S. Army's Special Forces. Ultimately, Seal is recruited by the CIA for anti-Castro and anti-communist smuggling jobs in Central and South America. Seal's ties with the CIA protect him from the DEA, the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies. Gradually, he amasses a fleet of airplanes with a network of pilots and mechanics. He develops strong ties with the Medellin cartel, working on both sides of the law. In setting up drug stings and covert operations for government agencies, it is often said that Barry brings back a kilo for the feds and another for himself.
The local sheriff was passing information on about a cocaine smuggler from Baton Rouge by the name of Barry, whose planes were being stored out there. Gave a complete rundown. They were able to photograph activity at Rich Mountain Aviation, tail numbers being changed, planes being handled in a suspicious manner, characteristic of what you expect from consistent with the smuggling operation. I knew that Barry Seal was working as an informant. I knew that he had been busted and had convicted in Florida and had rolled over, had become a snitch to stay out of prison. And I assumed that while he was working with federal agents in Florida, that they were protecting him from my investigation in Arkansas.
On April 15, 1985, President Reagan makes a speech relating his dismay over the situation in Nicaragua.
The history of this century forces me to believe that to do nothing in Central America is to give the first communist stronghold on the North American continent a green light to spread its poison throughout this free and increasingly democratic world.
1985 is also a significant year for Barry Seal's career.
1985, a DEA agent in Arkansas told me that he had been contacted by a friend of his in Mobile, Alabama, who said that Barry Seal was smuggling guns to Nicaragua and being allowed as a reward to fly back into country with a load of cocaine.
Among Seal's highly efficient, tight-knit group of pilots is his closest friend and brother-in-law, Billy Bob Bottoms, an ex-Vietnam helicopter jockey. Keeping things all in the family, Billy Bob is entrusted as one of Barry's major cocaine pilots.
We had a light twin-engine airplane that was highly sophisticated with its electronics and the range capability. We could fly nonstop from the United States to Colombia. I would make the flight. I would take off usually in the middle of the night, fly to Colombia, land in Colombia, refuel, then I would pick up approximately six duffel bags of cocaine, which was around 300 kilos. I would fly back nonstop from Colombia to the United States, and I would make an airdrop.
Seal's operation maximizes efficiency and secrecy. The drops are mechanically executed on a carefully contrived schedule, always conducted under a shroud of darkness.
We had a door modification that we could pull the door inside the airplane and move it out of the way. We had a roller track built on the floor. We built a pallet, an aluminum pallet, that we could put all 6 duffel bags in that aluminum pallet and fold sides up around the duffel bags and clip the top together. We had these harnesses that were hooked to each duffel bag and to a parachute. When the drop point approached, we would push it out the door with a static line hooked to the airplane, which would deploy the chute. Our altitude was usually around slightly less than 1,000 feet, to where when the chute opened, the merchandise hit the ground. The pallet system was designed such that when the merchandise hit the ground, it burst open, absorbing all the shock, and the duffel bags just lay on the ground. There was never any tumbling or damage to the merchandise.
You didn't need anybody's protection to fly an airplane into the United States and evade the radar. You didn't need protection for that. We did it routinely without any fear.
His efficiency and the freedom to operate out of a remote, virtually ignored location makes it easy for Seal to generate a tremendous revenue stream. He spreads his cheer liberally with many local officials and